Hello, Team Easy Dating. I am so excited. This is my first ever live stream with a human being sitting next to me. This is a human being from Helena Hart's couch we are filming from. Thank you, Helena. She's over there. Amazing. And today's topic that I forgot is I think I remember. The secret sexy quality that will make every man adore you forever. And we've got the lovely Anya Grace here to help us with that stuff. Hi, Anya.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for being my first ever live person next to me.
Thank you.
What a life, what a day. All right, so secret sexy quality to make a man adore you. What is the quality?
Yes. So the quality is really the ability to master the art of surrender. So this live stream and talk is all about actually the difference between submission and surrender, and how the majority of women are operating from a state of submission, not just in their sexual life, but also in life, and how actually the much more sexy, magnetic quality that we can embrace is the energy of surrender. So that applies to both life and spirituality and sexuality and sex. So really being able to move from a state of surrender, state of submission into a state of surrender. So we'll talk about what it looks like to do that.
Yeah, I am so excited about this topic because I think about all the women that are submitting to men. It's just so unhealthy. And we've seen it time and time again where a woman just lets him walk all over her. Mm-hmm. And for a while, they're happy, right? The relationship's going great, but eventually she doesn't feel heard, listened to, and she's not getting her needs met. And then he gets frustrated because the woman is not happy. He's like, oh, I must be a failure in this relationship, but she's never speaking up to say what she needs. So eventually they start to resent each other and most likely either end up in an unhealthy relationship or they break up. And that is not what we want for anyone watching this. We want healthy relationships. We want abundant relationships. So I think this is probably the most valuable topic that we could discuss right now.
Yeah.
So in terms of so what does that look like, the surrender versus the other side?
So when you think of the word submission, most people think of sex right away, right? It's like, just a vision pops up in your brain when you think of submission and the energy of submission. But there's a really big difference actually between the energy of submission and the energy of surrender. So a woman in submission, I'm going to list out a bunch of qualities and ways that are signs that a woman is in submission. And if you'd identify with this, just know that most people do. Most women are struggling with this because we've actually been ultimately exploited and in many ways brainwashed and manipulated to be in this state of submission, not just in relationship, but also in our life. So signs that a woman is in submission are, one, she's results oriented in life. She feels like she needs to perfect herself. She feels that she needs to improve herself. These are really simple things, but it's subtle ways that if you feel like you need to improve yourself and you don't feel like you're good enough the way you are, you're actually in a state of submission. You're submitting to this paradigm that you believe that you're not good enough. Another sign a woman is in submission is when she follows rigid diet and exercise routines. So we'll talk a little bit about why. Mostly it's if a woman is submitting to this paradigm and this belief that she needs to have a perfect body in order to be valuable and worthy for a relationship or for the man of her dreams, she's draining her energy. She's draining her powerful life force, feminine, sexual energy toward these thoughts and belief systems that are basically taking her over. So personally, for about 10 years of my life, literally 70% of the time, I was constantly consumed with thoughts of, when am I going to exercise next? And what am I going to be able to eat next? next. And if I was not able to control those things, I was an emotional wreck. I was totally submitting to this belief system that told me I was only valuable if I had a perfect body. So I was in this control. So other signs are she tries to control the environment around her. She tries to control people around her. There's a lot more that I'll get to, but I just want to pop it back to you and see if you have any thoughts on that, or if you want me to keep going.
So I find this interesting. So I think a lot of people can relate to this. We want to feel in control. We start building out these systems for ourselves. Like, okay, I'm going to wake up at 7 a.m. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to cook breakfast. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to come home. I'm going to watch TV. I'm going to go to bed. And that's my day. And then it sounds like you got a little bit OCD about it for a moment where it had to be perfect. And especially in dating, like a lot of folks watching this are 50, 60 years old. And you build this routine of this is how I'm going to do my life. Mm-hmm. And then when you meet a partner, it's kind of like, so how do we navigate still being ourselves and being true and being happy, but also leaving room for a partner to join us in a journey together?
That's a beautiful, beautiful question and point. Yeah. And so there's a certain level of structure it creates stability and a foundation in life. So there's healthy structure that we can implement. I think the difference between structure in a woman's life who's in surrender and structure in a woman's life who's in submission is how rigid it is. And if she's able to be flexible when that structure needs to change. So a woman who's in submission will have a really hard time being able to release the control. And so being in a relationship with a masculine energy partner, that will be challenging for him because ultimately he wants to come into her life and create some structure and create some guidance and be that masculine influence. And if she's locked into her routine, she's not able to surrender to his guidance and lead in a way that makes him feel good, and ultimately in a way that makes her feel good and allows her to access even more of her feminine potential. And I think one thing that's really, really key is, yes, I have a daily meditation practice that I do that is, sometimes I don't want to do it, but I commit to it because I know it amplifies my life. However, there's a softness to it. There's a flexibility to it. And I don't beat myself up if I don't do it. And the biggest key is my why behind. So if you have a diet and exercise routine that makes you feel good every day, but you're doing it because you feel like you need to have a perfect body, and that's going to be what allows you to attract your ideal partner, that's the mindset of a woman in submission. If you have a diet and exercise routine that helps you feel radiant and beautiful and healthy, and you're doing it because it makes you feel good, which we'll talk about that later. If it makes you feel good and that's your why, that's your intention, that is a routine that is more connected to the woman in surrender. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're feeling good. And what's amazing about that is once you're feeling good, then when you show up on dates and you show up in a relationship, that's going to come flying outward to the man. And he's going to be drawn to you because he'll be like, this woman's happy. She's got it together. I want more of her. I want to be around her more.
Yeah. So perfect. Yeah. And some of the other, we'll just finish with the signs of a woman in submission. We'll go into the woman in surrender. Some of the signs a woman is in submission are she really puts other people's pleasure before her own. So really sacrificing herself to please other people, whether it be sexually, her partner, or like her family, and not putting her needs first. But a woman in surrender knows that when she feels good and she's amplified in that divine feminine energy of just beauty and radiance, everyone around her benefits the most. So that's kind of a key difference. I'm looking down at my notes. So a few other examples is a woman in submission has done what she is supposed to in work and in life, but still isn't happy. That's a big one. So because she's submitted to these external voices that have said, you need to do that and you need to get that job and, do that career in order to be worth something in this world. So she's followed what she's supposed to, the correct path, actually going against what her heart and her body really want to do. So a woman in surrender is on purpose. She's financially abundant and in flow. She's soft and receptive. She's totally on purpose in life. And she's able to ask for support from the people around her, her partner, and she receives support from the universe as well, I like to say. So there's a lot of support that we can all tap into universally. And if you're locked into this belief system of this is what's best for me, and you're not open to what the universe actually wants to deliver you, then we can ultimately cap our potential. So there's more on the surrender, but I just want to bounce back to you.
So I wanted to talk about something like, I apologize, I'm going a little off topic. Okay. But something you gave me in terms of surrender. So a number of months ago when we first met, you took me to a yoga class. And what was so amazing about it is like parts of the class, it was literally no talking. And what was so magical is you were the first one to tell me, like, hey, you need to take a break from the monotony of what you're doing and be more intentional and think about where your journey's headed, where you're going. And so in those 5 minutes when I was quiet, I was like, what do I want to accomplish? And I think what was so valuable about what you gave me and doing this meditation moment is every single day, right when we wake up, we pick up our phone and we're immediately doing stuff, checking our emails, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Then we go to work and then we're going to the gym, we're watching TV. We never, ever spend a moment just with ourselves and think, is this the path I really want to head in? And I realized that myself, literally, I think for probably 2 years straight, just straight line, never spent a moment to myself and said, is this what I want to do?
Yeah.
And it was so powerful in that moment because I was like, this is the route I want to go. I kind of pivoted. I was like going mostly the route I wanted to go. I was like, boom, I'm changing direction a little bit in that moment. It was because you said, or brought me to this place where it was acceptable to just shut up, not do anything, not have your phone, and just think about what you want to do.
Wow, I didn't know that you had such a powerful experience in that.
Yeah, I never told you.
Wow. And then you moved to California, so that's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's true. It's like that's the difference between being aligned and being misaligned. Like when all that matters is that we're aligned in life, because every day life will continue and days will pass, and if you're misaligned, like where you end up in 50 years, if you're misaligned, will be way off target. Whereas if you're aligned and you are in that correct orientation, which happens, I believe, when you take the moments to soften and surrender and listen to yourself, listen to your body, and ask yourself, is this relationship working for me? Or is this job working for me? And if it's not working, listen to your body and the systems that are telling you no, and take those courageous steps sometimes to pivot and to reorient toward that alignment, because that's when life begins to unfold. And I truly believe that's when the universe comes in and picks you up and takes you where you could never imagine you. Like right here, where I'm with these amazing, amazing leaders in the world, with Helena and Mike. And 2 years ago, I would have never guessed that I would be doing this work in this way in the world, And it's Saturday, and we're so happy to be here doing work together because the universe is guiding it. I don't know. So anyway, That's just an example.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So we've understood what submitting is, and that sucks. We don't want to submit. We want to surrender. So talk to me about what the signs are and how we execute.
Yes. Okay, good. So the signs of a woman in surrender, like we were just saying, she has surrendered to what is really meant to happen for her. So she's released that control. So it can be as small as, if you're wanting to attract a man into your life, and you think about it every day, and you're doing all the right things, and you're implementing these programs and practices. Sometimes it can be as simple as just letting it all go and just practicing letting go and trusting and opening to perhaps something bigger and better is wanting to come to you. And if you were just to soften your grip mentally and emotionally, then that gift can actually come your way. Helena talks about this all the time. So a couple other examples are things just seem to work out beyond what she could ever imagine. She's okay with letting go of the past and open to experiencing the new. So very flexible in her day-to-day. She prioritizes feeling good above all else. This one is key. She prioritizes feeling good above all else. So that means that if she needs to take 3 hours by herself, she does that, you know. And again, we've been programmed not to do that. Let's see. She eats whatever she wants and whatever she enjoys. She exercises when she wants, but she doesn't have to in order to sustain her ideal body weight. Although I never ever step on a scale anymore. So that's another story. And a few more things. She's not afraid to speak up if against something she doesn't feel is right. And she's not afraid to walk away from situations that are not in alignment with her, because she's connected to her inherent value and she knows it's worth stepping away from. So does that make sense? Yeah.
It does. What I find so interesting is if people watch this or rewind and watch it, your body language when you're talking about submitting was like, and now we're submitting. And now when you're talking about surrendering, you're like, you're up, you're like excited,
open.
and you're ready. I love it. And I think that's the energy that women get when they're in fully surrender. Mm-hmm. And I think they're seeing you almost transform in this video to a woman that's ready to surrender. So that's exciting.
So cool. Yeah. And there's a piece that I add on this whole talk on the difference between submission and surrender sexually and spiritually. And that is that ultimately in a sexual relationship, when you're with a partner when you're in your surrendered energy and you have attracted a partner who truly values you for that goddess energy, that truly sacred feminine force in his life, and he sees you as this beautiful woman that he could not live without and truly values you at that core level. Sexually, a woman in surrender can choose to submit, which means that she simply releases all of her control and she allows herself to feel the power of her masculine partner's body and energy on her and toward her. She chooses that because it feels good to her. But there's a difference, because in that softness, surrender state of submission, it's a different frequency than a woman who is submitting to a guy who is not at all valuing her for her in her body and in her energy. In a woman who's in the submitting energy, he's literally consuming the feminine energy that she holds. It's a consumption. It drains her. It leaks her energy, and ultimately it's really it's the energy of exploitation. Whereas in this other experience, when the energies are elevated and matched at this high, almost truly spiritual level, the experience of submitting to your masculine partner's presence, it's actually an experience of expansion. Because when you allow yourself to soften and surrender at that level, you like what Mike is expressing and watching my body, literally like my heart opens and I get bigger and more expansive, and I allow more energy to come into my body. And when that happens sexually, that's when your partner benefits also. So your surrender is so powerful, but it has everything to do with the way that how much you know how sacred you are and how much you are embodied in that sacred energy. Does that make sense? I speak very spiritually, and I'm literally toning it down. But
tone it up.
Okay.
Let's have it. I love it.
Anyway. So yeah. I mean, the single difference between a woman who's in submission and a woman in surrender is whether or not she's embodied in her sacred divinity. Every single woman, every single human is pulsating with this divine energy, but it's whether or not we are aware of it that makes us vulnerable to being used and exploited, or elevates us to being met at that level. So, for example, like a woman in submission is much more easily exploited, used, abused, because she doesn't know how valuable she is. She just simply doesn't know. And I talked about this in one of our other videos that, the majority of women, the majority of humans that are in human trafficking are women and children. And women and children are fierce embodiments of feminine energy and Shakti, which is the sexual creative energy. It is the most valuable thing on this planet. It's so valuable. It doesn't mean that men aren't valuable, because men actually hold Shakti as well, but the way the feminine carries it is so valuable. And that's why there's literally human trafficking. It's like humans are bought and sold. So there's a value that women and children hold, and it's a sexual energy. So if we're not recognizing that we hold such value in this world, then we are submitting, and we're subjecting ourselves to being used and exploited. So that's why it's so key to recognize all the ways that we are still submitting in our mindsets around food, exercise, whether we're perfect or not, all those subtle ways that our energy is being drained, and that we shift over to this energy of surrender, which is really matching us at our highest value.
Whoa! That was some amazing, amazing stuff. And I learned so much. Like, thank you, Anya. That's amazing.
I'm all red.
This is standard. Don't you love live streams? There's no editing. Just we're gonna rock. Well,
I have a lot of passion around this.
I can see that. I felt it. And I was talking to you earlier when we were talking about this topic. I just want to come full circle on this. And you were telling me, and you just listed to them a lot of the qualities that are involved in surrender. And I was reading the list, and I was thinking to myself, if you put that woman in front of me that has those qualities, that's literally all I want. Period. She's like that. That's going to bring out the best me. That's going to make me want to give as a man. You put that woman, I am ready. Roll out the red carpet. How am I going to do the most amazing dates ever? How am I going to make her feel special? How am I going to take care of her? How am I going to make her feel heard? I want to talk to her. I want to let her communicate with me. I want to listen to her. I want this abundant, amazing relationship with her because of who she is, what she's bringing to the table. Mm-hmm. That's so sexy, and nothing could be better than that woman. Mm-hmm. And that's the woman that a man is going to want to commit to forever, like our title says. So you just got it perfect. And for the folks watching this, she just hit the nail on the head in regards to what men want. I couldn't agree more. Mm-hmm.
And I love how you said that. And when you were saying that to me before, you said, that's the perfect woman. The woman in surrender is the perfect woman, which is so amazing that you use that word, because we think that by having a perfect body and following all these perfect routines in life and perfect career and perfect everything, that's what men want and desire. And it's not at all. And it's actually in totally mastering this art of surrender that really makes us so powerful. So I love that you use that word, because it's exactly proving that it's, I think that we've been brainwashed. I was doing another video on this earlier with Helena, and I spoke about how literally during the video, I was having these thoughts of, I don't like the way the camera is on I don't like this angle. I feel like my arms look weird. And as I was speaking about the challenges of these mindsets of submission, I was dealing with it myself. So we're so deep in that, where we're being, subconsciously, our energy is being drained. And the first step is really awareness and knowing that, wow, I'm beating myself up right now, or I'm getting really uptight about the way this outcome, or this certain situation, and just having that recognition that, okay, my energy is being drained and it's not actually benefiting me or my ideal life. So let me pull that back. What can I let go of right now? What can I forgive? What can I have compassion for? and then reshift to that state of surrender. So there's more that ultimately we can talk forever about. I have a whole nother like training on actually how to shift out of submission and into surrender. That's coming out very soon, but So anyway, but this is just a really baseline beginning of bringing this conversation forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Do you have any other points you'd like to add on surrender, or did we hit most of it, do you think?
I'm looking. I think we hit, I mean, there's so much more really we could say, but I think for the beginning, I guess if anybody has any questions, we could answer some questions. Okay, the quality. Maybe we just go through the qualities really quickly. I'm just going to list them
Yeah,
off.
so Dee Dee wants us to relist the qualities. So yeah, why don't you real quick run through those, because we definitely missed some of them.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll just list, this is going to be more reading format, but just so you can have them. So, okay, so woman in submission, she feels like she needs to improve herself. She pleases others at the expense of her own pleasure. She's consumed with her body image and doesn't feel good enough. She follows rigid diet routines. She follows rigid exercise routines. She feels stressed out, anxious, and worried often. She feels tired all the time and drained all the time. She is consumed with reaching perfection, or she's results-oriented in her mindset. She hustles in work and in life. She has done what she is supposed to in career, but isn't happy. She feels guilt for taking time for herself or spending money on herself. She gossips, slanders. She gossips and slanders other women. She competes with other women and men. It's a huge one. She tries to control. She tries to control others around her. She's consumed with what other people think. She attracts men who don't really want anything serious. She's not adored, respected, or valued in the way she wants. So I know I just listed those off really quickly, but it's good for you to have them. So you can kind of get the overall vibe of that, right? And then, I mean, just hearing it feels that totally. But I believe that we all identify with this. Like I know I do with a lot of these, and I actually truly know that there's a masculine side of this as well. So I'm in the process of creating that too. So then the woman in surrender, she is financially abundant. She is on purpose in life. She is able to ask for and receive support from men, from her friends, from the universe. Things just seem to work out beyond her wildest dreams, beyond what she expects. I just actually moved into my literally dream living situation ever. It was so amazing. And that was totally a surrender thing. She prioritizes feeling good above all else. She's sexually awakened, turned on, and able to experience pleasure beyond belief. I think it's okay, right? Oh, wow.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
We're good. Keep going.
Okay, just a few more. She feels at peace with her body. She's learned how to be flexible. She's learned how to be flexible, relaxed, spontaneous, and okay letting go of control. She's not afraid to speak up against what she feels is wrong and walk away from situations that don't feel good. So, and ultimately, she is seen deeply for her value, her deep gifts, her wisdom, her brain, her heart, her caring, her energy, her effort, her voice, her power, everything. So she's just really seen at a deep, deep level. So there are the lists. There's even more than that, but those are just like some basic things to check out in your own life. And the one thing I'll say in terms of shifting is if you feel like you're identifying with more of those energies of submission, just really have compassion for yourself. And often for me, when I feel into all the ways that I have submitted and given away my power in my life, it brings up fear and it brings up a lot of anger and sometimes rage. And I feel strong emotions around it. And actually, it's those emotions that have fueled me to do exactly what I'm doing right here, right now, which is to talk about it and to let that anger and fuel something of the heart and something creative and something impactful in the world. So that anger, if you can harness it and really feel it and feel the sadness that goes along with recognizing all the ways that you may have been in submission in your life, that can be really, that's one of the steps actually in healing and moving into surrender, is really allowing yourself to mourn and heal, and feel into what's been lost. So yeah.
Yes. All right. That was fantastic. Anya, thank you so much for sharing with everyone that. That was wildly powerful.
Thanks.
So guys, if you're still watching, which I'm sure a lot of you are, and you have not subscribed to the channel, go hit subscribe, ding the bell so you actually get notifications when the videos come out, and make sure to hit like. And please leave us a comment with any questions or anything you need. Anya will definitely be checking in here and there to answer some questions. And obviously, I'm going to be on top of this all the time to answer any questions you have. But Anya has an amazing free gift for everyone. So what if you told them what your free gift is?
It's not a free gift.
Oh, well, okay. It's not, huh?
Elena's laughing.
So what are we giving them?
Okay, well, I don't know. You can call it a free gift if you want. It's actually training. It's a whole training. It's a masterclass training that I am doing actually with the lovely Mike and Helena.
Yeah, I am in this.
Come
in
here.
Right.
Yeah, it's I'm doing I put on a really powerful training with actually a collaboration of people, including Helena and Mike and Clayton Olson and Jack Butler and Mark Rosenfeld.
Is Rena in for me?
Yeah, come on.
So it's 10 keys. It's 10 keys, different trainings to activate your feminine energy to attract health, wealth, and happiness, and receive next level love. So I'm really excited. It's a super powerful, deep training, and these two are like the masters of so much of this. So this is I feel like I'm squished. I know. Between you two. It's like a flower sandwich with my friends. So anyway, yeah, and that's you can go to eastwestinterviews.com to get that, but there'll be a link.
Yeah, guys, the link will be down there, and once I figure out technology, I'll plop it as the top comment as well. Just give me a minute.
Yeah,
I'm gonna figure it out.
It's so good too. Anya sent me a bunch of the videos from some of the other experts, and I'm like binge watching all of them some of them I've watched like 3-4 times because they're so amazing. And I would say the information on there is different than what we share, like what I share over on my channel, and just because it's very in depth. These are like 30 minutes to hour long, like deep master classes. So yeah, I would definitely go check that out.
It's like this topic. It's just my intention with the training is to go a little bit deeper than what kind of we put out there just on the ether, on the internet. Just go deeper into like our personal experiences, some of the practices. Everybody leads a different practice, and so it's really, really powerful. But yeah, and if anyone has any questions on this specific topic, there's a lot more to learn. So reach out to me, and thank you guys so much.
I know, this is so fun. This is so fun.
Helena, thank you for all your recording equipment and wonderful couch.
This is amazing. This was my dream. I just got to sit over there and watch you guys. It was so much fun. This was incredible. Yeah, Anya and I just recorded an incredible video on this topic that I'm going to be posting on my channel very soon too. Yeah, this is just like, I feel like this is what Anya is here to teach the world right now. It's just like so powerful. Wasn't this amazing? So amazing. I've never heard this before anywhere. So
Helena, since you are on this couch, what piece of advice do you want to leave the audience with on how to be sexy and get a man to adore them forever?
You didn't tell me you were going to be asking me questions.
No, I didn't.
I know. That's like what happened.
I know. And I'm like,
all right. Let me make it easier. What one piece of advice would you like to give women?
I think what Anya was saying is the kind of like the sexiest quality a woman can embody, the whole surrender thing. And you said it yourself too, like even when we were talking right before we started recording, Mike's like, if that is the perfect woman. It's like she's surrendered, she's open to life, she's open to receive. Something I always say is that what a masculine energy man wants is a woman who's able to receive what he has to give. So if she's open and surrendered, she's going to be in that receptive mode to receive not only from him, but from life, from the universe, from God, from, you know, whatever you believe is operating here. When you're open to receive, you're in the receptive mode, which from my perspective is like the path of least resistance to attracting what you want, whether that be the man you want, the career, the success you want, just anything in life. Yeah.
One word that I learned from you actually around this is respond. And your ability to be responsive. Like, and if you think of like sexually too, just being able to respond to his press and pull and push, and the universe's press and pull and push. I talk about that a lot. Like your ability to respond to the penetration of the masculine energy coming towards you and just like move with it. That is the sexiest quality. Like actually in sex, but also in life, just being able to move with those pushes and pulls from the penetration of the universe.
Yeah, responding is very feminine energy quality, right? Going out and trying to push and shove and force things to go the way you want is very masculine energy, kind of wounded masculine energy. So yeah, this is a very empowered place to come from, very attractive place to come from, right, Mike?
Absolutely. And like, just to tell you a story about like these two. Here we go. Yeah, you're welcome. So the reason I love hanging out with these two is they allow me to be masculine and they'll be feminine, and we both allow each other to be in that energy. So like specifically, like for example, these two are literally dancing over there to get ready for this. And that's beautiful. Like that's feminine energy. That's getting in excitement for this video. And then me, like I'm just being a mope sitting there like I just had LA traffic to get here, so I'm just like, meh. But what they do is they give the appreciation I need. So they're like, oh, Mike, like you look good, or like you're doing great, and that's so funny, and they laugh at me, and that brings up my energy level because I feel like I have a spot here where, oh, we do need a man, and you made me feel needed, and then you appreciate me, and so then I light up. And now that allows me to want to give you guys something. That allows me to be open to listen to you, to just enjoy your feminine energy. So I think to what you're saying is the like responding, and your responding is giving me that appreciation, which makes me want to give.
Wow, that's funny because I didn't even realize that we were doing that. We were just doing our thing, and it's just it's natural. You just
and that's natural. The thing, we're not actually trying to appreciate,
not at all.
And I think one of the things that like how I naturally respond to your, like just you being in the room, and I always talk about this, like whenever I'm around Mike, it's like I get really goofy and weird and crazy because his masculine stability polarizes me into this wild feminine like chaos that's really fun to be in, but I can't get there on my own. And so I think you were sitting over here like lying there, and I was like, I love that we're just like dancing around and being weird, and you're just like there in such stability, because it's actually like the simplicity and the stability.
DD just wrote, "You ladies dance before taping," and the answer you have to.
Sometimes.
Like, how are you gonna get in the mood? Gotta have some energy.
Sometimes we do that. Sometimes we do. I don't know what else.
What did we do?
Oh, like, it's just dynamic and random.
We were just happy, and I think we were just like
spontaneous.
Yeah, it was very spontaneous.
Whatever.
We didn't even realize we were doing it until Mike pointed it out.
If we had like a routine that we did it before every single thing, I think that would be the woman in submission.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
It made me laugh. Thank you, Dee.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, once again.
Else to say on that, by the way?
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I have a lot to say on this, but I feel I don't want to take over. This is so.
No. It's like
I've just learned a lot, and I think, and I saw in some of the comments too. I can't remember who it was, but when you're describing the signs that a woman's in submission, I mean, I see a lot of myself in that, especially from maybe about like 10 years ago, but even still, the constant need to feel like you have to say the perfect thing or look a certain way in order for people to see you as valuable. That's always like right there. Like Anya and I think you mentioned, we were recording a video about this topic right before Mike came over, and we were talking about it, but then we were still feeling self-conscious because of the camera and the lights and everything. It's like, it's just always there. Like that brainwashing or whatever, the programming is just always there. So I totally get it too. Like I saw myself a lot in that, but I feel like even just knowing you over the past year or so, I've shifted a lot. So you can shift this quickly. Yeah.
You
Just
can.
having the awareness of it is makes it easier to shift into surrender.
Totally. Just, exactly. Having the awareness makes you way less susceptible to being exploited and being used and abused by men, but also by just yourself and like that part of you that is unconsciously draining your sacred energy. And that's the epitome of all this, is that you are sacred and so valuable. Your energy is so powerful and perfect. And when you distract yourself, or when you're distracted by thoughts of anything but that, that's a drain. And
Can I talk about one more thing?
yes, of course. Obviously, it's your channel.
Oh, thank you. I just want to like make this real world, like how it turns out. So, like, let's say you're on a date, and
Sorry.
And just leaving space for conversation to happen. So, some women feel very uncomfortable with silence on a date. And I've been on those dates, and it drives me freaking nuts, because it's just like, what's your favorite color? Like, what's your favorite TV show? Like, all these questions that like aren't really getting to the heart and soul of who they are or who I am, or just things we don't need to talk about. And if there was some time to think, both for a woman and a man, where we're surrendering and there's authenticity and confidence in the fact that, like, hey, I can be quiet, he can be quiet, we can even look at each other in the eyes, and I'm not going to be squeamish, I'm not going to be scared, I'm so confident, I'm so sexy in who I am, that I will sit here, I will stare at Helena in the eyes right now in awkward staring, and I'm going to come up with the right question to ask her, and vice versa. And it's okay. And if you feel awkward, if you're on a date and this doesn't feel comfortable yet, it's okay to look at the TV if you're at a bar, or maybe you go on a date where you're walking at a park, and then it's okay that you're just walking and maybe you're quiet for a few seconds. But allow yourself to have better questions to get to really know the soul of a person. So then when you leave the date, it's like, wow, we actually built the connection, and it's going to make sense when he asks me on a second date versus, oh, his favorite color is blue. Like, who cares about that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you know what I love about that? I talk about this a lot, and I get that. It can be hard, right? Like those little awkward pauses in conversation. As I'm thinking about the interview that you guys recorded. It was that long, awkward silence. It's like excruciating, right? It feels that 5 seconds. Yeah, it can feel like forever. And I totally get, even as a woman, wanting to jump in and like close that gap. And it comes from a good place. You just want to be comfortable, right? And you don't want the guy to think you're boring. But what I love about what Mike said, as the man, if you don't pick up the slack for him constantly like that, he's going to step into that space. You're sitting there surrendered, being an invitation for him to step into his masculine energy, which is very attractive. And men want to do that, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. I want that time to think of like that, really like where did you grow up? What was it like being there? If you and I went to where you grew up, what would we do together? Like, I want to like actually get to know you. And if I don't have time to think, or like, what celebrity do you admire most and why? Like, I need a second to come up with these questions. And if there's no silence, then yeah, I'm going to ask stupid questions, and it's just not a great day.
I love hearing that from a guy. I would say men would just kill for a woman who can just sit there surrendered in the silence for a second, right? It's just, very
so sexy,
right?
And one thing you can do to amp up the sexiness of it too is, in that moment where there's like an awkward silence, or it feels like it could become that, take that moment. You can still like have your eyes open, but drop your attention inward and locate somewhere in your body that you feel energy. So it could be like tension in your heart, or butterflies in your stomach, or even just feeling your sit bones on the chair, or your feet on the ground. Any time that you draw your attention inward on your body, you're actually activating your magnetic energy. And that's also an opportunity to practice using feeling statements too, where you're like, you could literally, in that moment where he's not saying anything and you're not saying anything, you take that time to go inward. And that's so powerful, because literally you can't see the energy, but you're pulling energy into yourself. So he will be pulled into you. And then when you do say something, you could also check in and be like, oh, like that conversation that we just had made me feel like butterflies in my stomach, or it made me feel like a lot of passion in my belly, or like you by checking in and noticing how you feel, you're doing two things. You're magnetizing him into you, and you're also like allowing yourself to connect to your feelings, which will help him connect to you too.
Wow, that was very powerful. Yeah, just the energy of you standing there or sitting there searching for a feeling is infinitely more sexy and magnetic than you, like Mike was saying, being up in your head, just jumping in, asking those questions like a reporter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Totally different feeling there.
You can hear women doing that if you just go out to bars on like a Friday or a Thursday, and you just hear not to be in judgment, or like I'm not laughing at anyone, but sometimes it's just painful because it's like you can feel it, and the guy is silent. And I just watch it sometimes. The guy is like silent there. It's like he's not actually, his penetration is not happening, and she's not. Anyway, it's sad sometimes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because you can. I'm sure the woman's confident, but in this moment, it just comes off. And there's been studies where we polled men and women, and we consistently rate confidence as the sexiest quality in both sexes, and it's by far. And if you don't feel comfortable being in that space, you don't come off confident, and then in turn the man doesn't see you as sexy. And once again, to your point earlier, it has absolutely nothing to do with looks. It has to do with your energy and how you make the man feel. And if you're sitting there like just the most confident woman in the world, sitting back in your sunflower dress, just like I'm living and being, and I look good and I feel good, and I know I've done the inner work where I'm an amazing woman, well, the guy's going to feel that. And he's going to be like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm on a date with someone this amazing and this beautiful and this easy to talk to and this self-assured and confident. I'm so lucky. Let me come up with a great question so I can get to know her better. Anyway.
I love that.
I love
that
it.
was so awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See, words of appreciation. They're so good at this.
So easy.
I know.
It's just
I'm like a puppy. I'm like,
it's so authentic.
all right. I love both of you. You guys are just balls of wisdom. So we're going to obviously do this again. If you guys enjoyed this, let us know in the comments, because if you guys are all writing like these two are amazing, then we're going to have them on more often. And guys, thank you for tuning in. And we'll have another video for you on Tuesday. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, go hit subscribe. Love all of you. And definitely get your hands on Anya's free gift, or come into our 10-day, our 10-day interview series. And I just checked out, actually before this, I checked out the people that are doing the interview, and she's got like the craziest, most successful, wonderful people. So just, you're going to want to check it out. Like I know most of them in person, I think, and they're just like geniuses. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah. And they're trainings. They're not just interviews. They're like actual.
Anya, we had to re-record ours 3 times to get it because I kept calling it the wrong thing. I would totally get your hands on this. And it is free. It is totally free for you guys, everyone in Mike's community as well as mine. So definitely go check that out.
That was so fun. Thanks, guys.
All right, let's go have some wine.
Yes.
See you guys. Go have some wine too.
Love you guys.
You're watching. Bye. How do I end this?
End stream at the bottom.
Are you sure? Bye, guys. Yes. Nope. Oh boy.